Your home should be as safe and secure as possible. We've got some tips to keep it that way.
This episode of the Dollar Saving Divas podcast is brought to you by renttherunway.com.
You'll find more than 200,000 pieces and 400 designers in the Rent the Runway closet. For any event you might be attending, formal, cocktail, or festive, you can get 4 or 8 day designer rentals for a fraction of the price. Anything you want, one flat price.
And when you click the link on our Dollar Saving Divas Facebook page, you'll save even more and help keep this podcast free.
Look great and save money too at renttherunway.com. Well, Kelly, we all want to make sure we're safe within our own home. So we've got a few good tips for you today to keep you safe.
Well, we know I've had several accidents over the few years in my house.
Accident-prone Kelly. But first, a really important thing is make sure you have working smoke alarms in your house and make sure you're checking those batteries. You want to make sure that they are on every level of your home. That is, fires are devastating, and more people lose their lives in fires, especially when they don't have a smoke alarm, or they have a smoke alarm and doesn't have a battery in it, or it's not working. So you want to choose an alarm with both a photoelectric sensor and an ionization sensor. And it's best if you have the ones that are interconnected. So if there's a fire in the basement, all of the alarms go off. So if you're sleeping upstairs, you're going to hear the alarm go off.
That's what we have. Ours are all connected together into our alarm. And then also, because then it automatically goes to our system, and then it notifies them, and then they're calling, and then the fire department's coming, and I guess that means it works. And I have to tell you this story. My mom has smoke alarms in her house, but they're not connected to anything. It's just straight battery.
Right.
And the battery was low, so what does it do when it's low? It beeps. It chirps.
Yes.
Okay, so she didn't like the chirping noise, so she got up and took the battery out. And didn't replace it.
Yeah.
And then failed to...
Lots of people do that. Then they forget about it. I mean, you don't think about it. That's why it chirps.
That's why it chirps. So when it chirps... Go get a new battery.
And it's going to chirp at 2 a.m, people. Just know that it's always going to happen at 2 a.m. I've heard, you just got to get up and do it.
I've heard chirping like from downstairs, and I'm like going, is that a bird? What? No, it's the alarm.
But, the other thing is every time you change your clocks, when the daylight savings time, change your batteries.
That's a great idea.
Just do it. The other thing is, and I didn't know this until we had it happen to us, smoke detectors and carbon monoxide detectors expire. Like there is a life on those, and there's an expiration date on the back of them. So you have to replace the whole unit every so often. So check that.
Oh,
because they go bad. Well, that's what the fireman said when he came at 3 a.m. and took it off the ceiling and said, "This bad boy is expired. You should have replaced it 2 years ago."
Well, that's better than I don't know. I still like my skunk story at 5 a.m. with the fire department. So, another thing you can do, and we know I am accident prone, is make sure, first thing is, turn on your lights. In the middle of the night, if you decide you're going to go downstairs or do something, turn on the light. That will prevent a lot of things from happening. The other thing is you might, they say 10,000 people a year die from falls. Now, we know a few years ago I had a bad fall. I ended up, fracturing and doing all kinds of things to my face because I slipped and fell because I didn't turn on the lights in my kitchen. Mm-hmm. I hit the granite countertop because my dishwasher was leaking and... Well, no, that was the time. No, take it back. That was the time I took the NyQuil. The time before that, when I fractured my wrist.
Yes. You notice a pattern.
It is.
And then there was the other time.
Yeah, the time before that is, and I have a total of 3 stories to tell on this, and it all has to do with lights and being stupid. The first time.
Well, you can't fix stupid.
I thought I liked you. I actually thought I loved you.
Borrow a line for one of my favorite comedians.
Okay, fine. Listen, it's terrible things that happened to me. Okay, I fractured my wrist because I didn't turn on the lights in my kitchen, and my dishwasher door had leaked. So there was water on the floor. So I fell on my marble or
that was awful
ceramic tiles on the floor, and I fractured my wrist. Had to have surgery. Was in a cast. It was miserable. It was miserable. Okay, then the next time was when I took the NyQuil. That was it. Okay, and the most recent time, I know, and this was, but no major injuries other than the fact I wore socks, and I got up to go down the stairs with laundry, and I slipped on the carpet and slid all the way down the stairs.
Right.
Okay.
So doing laundry is dangerous and we should stop.
And absolutely. You need to like keep all the dirty laundry on the first floor where you're
and hire someone to do it for you.
Because I'm clearly so I fall, I get rug burns on I slip down somehow, I'm on my face. I got rug burns all over me. It was just a mess. The other thing is, okay, we're done with all my that kind of stories. The other thing is you need to position things like out of the way so that, if you're put your pet bowl and electric cords around the walls. I don't know why you would put them in the middle of
I don't know
room,
either, but you shouldn't have
that's
that.
what they're telling us to do. Well, and also I think it's really important that there's nothing, they talk about nothing blocking the way between your bed and the door to your bedroom. I'm sorry, in my case, it's nothing from the bed to the bathroom.
Oh yeah,
that's the key thing that going
one in the morning. You need a straight shot.
The other thing is, and we do this in our house because we do have a lot of Italian tile on our first floor. Is when you have those area rugs and throw rugs, some of them don't have any kind of a rubber backing, so you actually need to either buy those that have it, or you can buy these rolls of things that you can put underneath so they don't slip.
Yeah, that's a good idea.
I think that's yes, because as we know, I need those desperately.
Well, you can also install kind of a do-it-yourself home security system with a Wi-Fi connected camera. You can set those up in your house. So, I mean, you could always have an ADT or some other kind of home security system, but you could do it yourself too. So, Nest is one of them. Indoor-outdoor models. They're about $200 a piece. But you can monitor your house from wherever you are if you install these Wi-Fi cameras around. So that's always an option.
I know, and now they have all those
kind of creepy, but
yeah, I was going to say, and they have those cameras now too for the pets.
Yeah,
so it's like a pet babysitter.
Yeah,
and those are cameras.
I totally do that.
That's totally weird. I just think that's totally kinky weird.
I would do that. I want to see what they're doing all day.
Well, over 500,000 people in the United States are treated for burns every year. That's a lot of people.
Yeah, that's frightening.
So one thing that they say you can do, which I never really thought about this, but how many times have you turned on your hot water and basically scalded your hand?
Too hot, yeah.
So they say you can actually lower the maximum temperature of your water heater, but you don't want it to be too low. So you don't want it to be like 120 or lower than that because that it won't scald you, but it also may not kill all the bacteria, and you obviously don't want your water to be tainted with bacteria. So they say to set our water heaters to a temperature of 140 degrees Fahrenheit, and then they also have these actually anti-scald devices that are out there that are a thermostatic mixing of valves that you can actually buy, and most of these are under $50 and can be installed in less than a half hour. I've never heard of that, but I'm thinking, hey, I'm going to look into that because you never know when you're going to be somewhere.
Right.
Yep. And that would be not good if you had guests coming in your house and they helping you with the dishes and all of a sudden, they've burned themselves.
Yeah, exactly. Well, speaking of water.
Nice segue.
We all hear about water contaminants. So it's a good idea to check on your water. The first thing you can do is check where your water is coming from. So the water quality varies depending on where you live. So you can go online, which I didn't know this. You can check the Consumer Confidence Report for your area that lists any contaminants that might be in your water supply by going to epa.gov/CCR.
Well, speaking of that, you can also have your water actually tested. So if you happen to have an old house that may still have lead pipes, or you have a well, you need to get your water tested. And some state and local health departments actually give free test kits out. I'm not sure about the state of Ohio and central Ohio. But then in other cases, they say that fees can range from about $50 for a single lead test to several $100. But you really want to make sure that you don't have any contaminants in your, E. coli or any of those kind of things in your water.
Yeah, and if you do have your water checked and you find that you do have a contaminant that you're concerned about, then you can always get a filter. So they're your basic carafe-style filters.
Like the Brita things?
That we know about. There are also the under-sink systems that'll filter the water as it comes through out your faucet. So they vary in price range. The one thing you do want to check on is if you're concerned about a certain contaminant, you need to make sure that the package on the filter states that it meets the NSF certification for that substance to make sure you're actually getting rid of that particular contaminant.
Well, we have a GE Profile refrigerator, and ours actually has a water filter in it.
So we've got the same thing.
Yeah, so you don't use the water out of your sink if you've got that because it's being filtered. So
right, that's what we drink from out of the refrigerator, and the rest for cooking.
Exactly. So those are some great tips, I think.
Yep, I think so too.
This episode of the Dollar Saving Divas podcast is brought to you by renttherunway.com.
You'll find more than 200,000 pieces and 400 designers in the Rent the Runway closet. For any event you might be attending, formal, cocktail, or festive, you can get 4 or 8 day designer rentals for a fraction of the price. Anything you want, one flat price.
And when you click the link on our Dollar Saving Divas Facebook page, you'll save even more and help keep this podcast free.
Look great and save money too at renttherunway.com. Thanks for listening to the Dollar Saving Divas. If you have ideas for an upcoming episode, we'd love to hear from you. Just head to our Facebook page at facebook.com/DollarSavingDivasCBus and share your comments. Our podcast is available on iTunes, iHeartMedia, or your favorite podcast player. Thanks again for listening.
This is Ashley.
And this is Trevor.
And this is Trevor from Elite One Fitness.
And this is Brett. In each week's Today's Health and Wellness podcast, we spotlight health and wellness stories you'll find in the Central Ohio Health and Wellness magazine, on Today's Health and web pages and social media, as well as extras you'll only hear in the weekly podcasts.
And each month, Trevor and I bust some gym and health myths to help motivate you to become stronger and healthier.
Oh yeah, you know it. The Today's Health and Wellness podcast is a joint effort of the Central Ohio Health and Wellness magazine and Today's Health.
Subscribe to our podcast on Apple Podcasts, Google Play, Stitcher, YouTube, or your favorite podcast player.
Circle270media.com.